Hi there, I'm Keith Argyle. I'm an author and write full time now, and today we're going to be talking about my life from writing and some other books that I've written over the years.
Okay, when did you first start to write?
Well, really, if I go back to the word go, I started when I was 9 years old, but obviously only childhood stuff at that time, but I loved the actual writing. But as years went by, I tried more ambitious stuff, and I later on started doing much longer work, like novels.
Okay, what kind of thing inspires you? Where do you get most of your ideas?
Well, one of my main things is from reading a lot, watching TV. I love science fiction films and that kind of thing. Also from documentaries, which I watch avidly, and pick up quite a lot of ideas from that.
Now, you said you started when you were about 9, but it was a bit later on when you started doing recently, seriously. You said it was around about 40 years old. What happened when you were 40 to make that happen?
Well, my working life was spent 90% of the time as a chef. But at 40 years of age, sadly I had a heart attack, finished up with heart problems, had to retire from work. So it gave me an opportunity then to look at what I can do. My writing then came into play and I started writing on a serious level.
Okay, what kind of stories do you like to write the most?
My favourite stories are science fiction and fantasy. They give a tremendous scope to the imagination, although I have written other stuff as well.
And do you write by yourself, or do you have any co-authors?
Well, I write by myself quite a lot, but some of my books I've written with other people. The main one I write with is Paul G. White, who I've written lots of science fiction with, and a couple of fantasy novels. We've also done a book on creative writing, which is in the throes of being edited. And I have written with a couple of the lads, named by Stuart McGee, which I wrote the Alexandra Passport with. And then I wrote another book with another friend, again called Paul, but Paul Whitaker. And we wrote a book called Envious Eyes, head title of Denbar Mysteries, which is quite an interesting read.
Excellent. And do you have any hobbies that you like to do when you're not writing?
Yes, I've got a varied amount of things I like to do. I love woodwork, DIY. I'm quite a reasonable artist, particularly in oil painting. I like reading, obviously writing, and actually have a lean towards actually developing and creating board games, but it is only a hobby.
Nowadays, a lot of authors like to do writers' workshops. Have you ever run one of these?
Yes, I run a writer's workshop at the Doncaster Library for about 16 years. At the same time, I also ran writing courses as well along with it. But was very successful, and it was passed on to someone when my writing started to get more serious, to give me more time. But it used to go very well.
And what about now? Do you run one at the moment?
Yes, I do. Last Tuesday of every month I hold a workshop at my house, and we have a few members and friends that come along, and others come and go, but we have a nucleus that keep it going and keeps it interesting, and we all learn a lot along the way.
Do you class writing as a full-time job?
I do now. Before, as I say, it began as a hobby and another outlet to do something after I had to retire from work. But now I do see it as a full-time job. I write on a daily basis. I do a lot of reading, research, notes and planning, which I emphasise quite a lot. I think all books should be planned well. But yes, I write on a daily basis now.
And when you have people that have day jobs as well, do you have any top tips of how they can factor in writing?
Yes, I do. The thing about it is people to organise the time. People say, I haven't got the time to write. I don't believe that. People, if they want to write, they will make the time. And if you only start at 15 minutes a time and expand it to half an hour, you'll be surprised how suddenly time takes over and it becomes more and more. You become to enjoy it more and your confidence grows.
If you had a tip to give new writers, what would it be? What was the one thing you would always tell them to do?
Firstly, I would say never give in. Always keep going. Always carry a notepad and pen with you, and if you find an idea, see an idea, observe something, then make a note of it, write it down, and I assure you you'll be able to use that idea much later when you're writing your books.
And are you working on anything specific at the moment?
Yes, I've just completed a novel called Neanderthal Legends, that being the head title, the book title being called Trono's Mysterious Journey. I've just completed and edited that, and that was loaded up for Create Space on Amazon, and I'm very well on now with its sequel, which is the Coming Together, which concludes that story, although there is an opening possible for a third one.
Excellent. And are you working on anything with any of your co-authors at the moment?
Yes, I some years ago met a pal of mine called Paul White, whom we write together quite a lot. We've written about 8 books so far. We're working on another one now, but our main ones that are doing extremely well on Amazon are the Neanderthal Paradox series, which is 4 in the series.
And what are your hopes for the future?
Well, I would love to see more books published. I would love to get a mainstream a mainstream publisher on board and an agent. They are not easily come by. Most of them are what cause their problems is basically financial and taking more people home from the budget. But you know, I feel that I have, and my friends who I write with, have got the potential to sell many books. As the Paradox in itself is proving this point on Amazon. All my books are on Amazon Kindle, and it is a great springboard for anyone starting to write. But the Paradox particularly, Paul and I worked hard on, and they are proving very successful.
Excellent. So we're just about finishing this interview, but before we do, we're just going to show some of the books that Keith has done. So here's just a display of some of the books. And there are more to add to the list.